Brazil covers nearly half of South America, containing a wide variety of natural and cultural landscapes. Overlooking the streets of Rio de Janeiro, a colossal Art Deco monument stands atop Corcovado Mountain. This towering figure watches the bustling city and the Atlantic Ocean. The stone and concrete structure took nearly a decade to build and has since become one of the most recognized symbols of the country. At the mouth of Guanabara Bay, Sugarloaf Mountain rises directly from the water's edge. Cable cars connect the granite and quartz peaks, offering access to the summit. The rounded rock formations shape the city's coastline, separating sheltered waters from the open sea. The harbor below is filled with moored boats, while historic fortresses sit on the green headlands. As evening approaches, the fading light casts long shadows across the dense neighborhoods of Botafogo. The dark, rocky silhouettes mark the horizon against the changing evening sky. Further along the coast, the crescent-shaped shoreline of Copacabana extends for miles. A distinctive black and white mosaic promenade separates the sandy beach from the busy urban streets. High-rise hotels and apartment buildings line the avenue, facing the steady waves of the Atlantic surf. Throughout the day, people gather on the wide stretch of sand, finding space among colorful umbrellas. When dusk falls, streetlights illuminate the curving beachfront, reflecting on the pavement and the water. The illuminated avenues keep the coastal neighborhoods active well after dark. Just to the south, the sands of Ipanema Beach draw crowds against the backdrop of the Two Brothers Mountains. This area serves as a central hub for coastal culture, where city life meets the ocean. The rocky point of Arpoador divides the beaches, offering a place to watch the waves roll in. The steep twin peaks anchor the western end of the bay, marking the edge of the densely populated districts. Off the coast of Rio de Janeiro state lies Ilha Grande, an island covered in dense Atlantic forest. Deep blue channels wind between smaller islets, providing sheltered routes for boats. The steep, forested hillsides remain mostly undeveloped, preserving a natural boundary between the ocean and the mainland. Small coves and pristine beaches are tucked into the island's irregular coastline. Wooden piers extend into the clear, shallow waters, connecting remote settlements to the sea. The thick vegetation grows right down to the sand, leaving only narrow strips of shore exposed to the tides. On the mainland, the historic coastal town of Paraty sits at the edge of the forest. Traditional white houses with colorful doors line the quiet, narrow cobblestone streets. Colonial churches serve as prominent landmarks within the town center. The buildings face a tidal river that flows directly into the bay. Small boats moor along the banks, resting on the mudflats during low tide, before floating again when the ocean water returns. Further south in Santa Catarina, the coastal city of Balneario Camboriú presents a very different skyline. A dense cluster of modern skyscrapers borders the sandy beach, rising sharply against the Atlantic. A multi-lane highway follows the curve of the bay, facilitating movement along the heavily developed waterfront. The high-rise architecture reflects the region's rapid growth as a major urban center by the sea. At the northern end of the promenade, a large Ferris wheel stands on a pier extending over the water. The structure provides panoramic views of the ocean and the tightly packed city blocks. The surrounding hills remain covered in green vegetation, contrasting with the concrete and glass towers below. As the sun sets, the shadows of the tall buildings stretch across the sand, reaching the edge of the sea. Inland, on the border with Argentina, the Iguazu Falls form a massive waterfall system. Hundreds of individual cascades pour over the rocky cliffs, surrounded by dense subtropical rainforest. The sheer volume of water generates a constant roar that echoes through the trees. The powerful flow drops into a deep gorge, creating thick clouds of mist that rise back into the air. Rainbows frequently appear in the spray, bridging the gaps between the falls. The river continues its course through the canyon, carrying the immense runoff downstream. The surrounding national parks protect the diverse plant life thriving in this humid environment. In northeastern Brazil, the major coastal city of Recife relies on its waterways. The urban center sits on a series of islands and peninsulas where the Capibaribe River meets the Atlantic Ocean. Multiple bridges connect the different districts, allowing traffic to flow across the wide channels. High-rise buildings dominate the shoreline, looking out over the reefs that give the city its name. The historic neighborhoods near the river mouth retain older architecture, sitting alongside modern development. The water remains a central feature of daily life and navigation here. Further north, the landscape transforms into the unique environment of Lencois Maranhenses National Park. Vast fields of white sand dunes stretch inland from the coast. During the wet season, rainwater collects in the valleys between the dunes, forming hundreds of clear blue lagoons. The wind constantly shifts the fine sand, reshaping the contours of the desert. The turquoise pools offer a stark contrast to the bright white ridges. Despite the arid appearance, these seasonal bodies of water support small fish and vegetation until they dry up again. Along the coast of Ceará, the village of Jericoacoara is surrounded by large coastal dunes and lagoons. The shifting sands merge with the ocean, creating wide, flat beaches. The wind patterns make the area a popular destination for kite surfing and sailing. Narrow strips of sand separate the calm inland waters from the Atlantic surf. As evening approaches, visitors gather on the high dunes to watch the sun dip below the horizon. The fading evening light turns the fine sand a deep orange. Nearby, the ocean waves have eroded the coastal cliffs, carving a large natural rock arch known as Pedra Furada directly into the rocky shoreline. Off the northeast coast, the volcanic archipelago of Fernando de Noronha rises from the Atlantic. This protected marine national park is known for its pristine environment and rugged topography. Rocky cliffs drop into clear turquoise waters, creating secluded bays and sandy beaches. The island's strict conservation rules help maintain the delicate balance of its coastal ecosystems. The striking volcanic rock formations, including the twin peaks of the Two Brothers, rise just offshore. The surrounding ocean supports a rich variety of marine life, thriving in the warm currents. As the sun slowly sets over the Atlantic, the jagged silhouettes of the islands fade into the twilight, marking the end of the day.